Well, hello everybody, it's Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician. I've got good news. After a lot of time, I have found out what I am now pretty much 100% sure is wrong with the Corvette. Okay, so just in case you haven't been following, let's get everybody up to speed here. 1985 Corvette. All right. The problem originally showed itself over the summer when the car was acting like it wouldn't start. Well, not acting. Bottom line, it wouldn't start. It was acting up, all kinds of issues. And so one day, the owner came by to visit, and it did it right here, almost in the exact same spot. And so I reached down and I grabbed a hold of the main battery cable, and I wiggled the heck out of it, and I got the car to start. So at that point, without diagnosing it, I said that at the least, the battery cable to the starter is probably going to be bad or loose. It does tend to get loose underneath there. And so if that main battery cable is no good, well, this car will do all kinds of funny stuff. So then fast forward to winter time. I guess if I remember right, he got into a situation where the car was dead again. He thought he had a bad fuel pump. I don't know why. He said the fuel pump was bad, but I think what the customer was hearing was the fuel pump halfway running, not being supplied the proper amount of power at that time, and then eventually the car itself wouldn't start. So I originally had said, let's go ahead and check the main battery cable, and for some reason the customer decided to change out their own starter. And so they changed out the starter. Now, I don't think all this damage was done by what happened next. During the time that the customer changed out the starter, I guess they didn't remove the battery cable or, disconnect the battery. And so they arced the main battery cable. And at that point, the car was completely dead in the water for the first time. Completely dead. Battery connected, battery good. All relays and fuses are good. Completely dead in the water. Car, no door buzzer, no horn, no lights, no nothing. All right. And so at that point, I finally got called in, and I've been working on this car in my spare time. Just haven't been charging a whole lot of money to do it, or definitely haven't been charging anything what a shop would charge. And so I've even gone as long as a whole week and not even bothered with it. It turned out to be all electrical. Broke out the multimeters, broke out the test lights. Started going at it, dissected relays, swapped out relays, found out that there is juice running through the car, battery is connected, everything, there's no reason at all why the car should be dead in the water. Tested fusible links. I changed fusible links down by the starter. Again, no reason why the car should be dead in the water, yet it still is. After doing all that, again with multimeters, test light, testing everything both outside of the car, inside of the car, I finally led myself to the main bulkhead connector. And that's when I realized, after checking the main bulkhead connector, that I was completely dead at the main bulkhead connector as far as power goes on the engine side. So that means right here, I know for a fact there is no electricity, although there is electricity underneath the hood, okay? And so where these two fusible links and some of these wires go to, these are the ones that are gonna run from your main bulkhead connector. They're gonna end up on the other side of the car, underneath over there, in the main harness for the wires, for the starter here, and they're going to run behind the distributor, and this is going to be on the 85 Corvette. Okay, all right, so testing fusible links down here, testing fusible links over there, they came out good. So that means that somewhere between the starter and the main bulkhead connector, electricity is being lost, power is being dropped off somewhere in this area as far as the wiring harness goes to the main bulkhead connector that supplies power inside of here. The electricity is being lost. It's not getting through, okay? To prove that theory, I went ahead and I made a jumper and I disconnected my battery. And what I did was I looked at the wiring diagram and I found my constant powers, which would be main bulkhead, which would be feasible links, main bulkhead connectors. I tested them before and afterwards and all that other good stuff. And like I said, I've already done this. So jumping off of the positive here, all right, with the key in the ignition, power on. Right now we should at least be getting a door buzzer or something. I'm gonna go ahead and engage my lights. Now right now I want to close them because I've already done this. Okay, so my lights right now should be shutting, but they're not, because power is not getting to the inside of the cabin. So let's bypass the whole system, use an alligator clip, create a jumper, okay, and let's jump power straight to our feasible link. And let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get the car to come alive. Now I know you just saw that. Okay, now then, so what does that prove? Let's try again. Okay, so now we are not supplying power directly to it anymore. And again, I've got no power. All right, so again, we're gonna bypass the system between the starter and the main bulkhead connector. We're bypassing all those wires and feasible links, even though we know that the feasible links are good. Okay, let's see what happens. Car's alive. Okay, now then, let's go and turn. Let's go ahead and turn it off for safety reasons. We'll shut our lights. Wait, are our lights shut? Yeah. We'll go ahead and we'll shut our lights. Okay, and what I've done is I've spliced into this. Okay. I've spliced in long ways, cut in long ways into my wire. And look at this, I've got power inside of here. And something this car hasn't done in a long time. Let's see what happens now. I now have power inside of the cabin. That's a big deal here. Okay, everything comes on. We got a left blinker. Our lights are working. Okay, let's just try a little. Okay, see, we bypass main power. It'll start now. It will start now. So there you go, folks. There wasn't enough juice to turn that starter over, but that was that. So what does this mean? What have I proven with these fusible links, splicing into them, going into each one of these systems here, and supplying direct power? What have I proven by getting this car to come on now by doing this? Well, I've proven here. Let's take this wire and use it for an example. Okay. So these fusible links are tied into a wire, basically, and that wire and collection of wires runs from this main bulkhead connector up and over the back of the engine back here behind the distributor, and this goes down and then ultimately connects into the starter. Now there's fusible link down there and there's these fusible links, and these guys are good, but they still don't have power to them like they should. How is that possible? That's because what has happened is the wire itself, and this is hard to find, the wire itself that runs between fusible link to fusible link has burnt out. Okay, now a wire can get hot, a wire can change colors. This can turn blue from getting so hot, or whatever you want to call it to keep it simple, and electricity will still run through there. But if it gets so hot that this ends up melting together, well, now you've got what you call a burnout on a wire, and well, electricity won't pass through there. So that is how, where, and why we are losing power from the starter main wiring harness to the bulkhead connector, and that is why everything is completely dead in this car. So we now need to trace these feasible links and wires, and what we need to do is just cut them out and run us a new wire through there, a new feasible link, solder it all back together, do it all up. That's going to be a different video, because I actually have not yet done the art of cutting these wires and rerunning them through here. My mentor, I've got 19 years experience. My mentor has 50 years experience. And even though I got 19 years experience, always remain teachable is my philosophy. That's why I still keep a mentor in my business, because I'm always learning. So he's going to have to come out here and demonstrate for me one time how we cut these wires, and without having to remove wiring harnesses and stuff, weave one all the way back through. So we'll get all that figured out. But there you go, folks. The Corvette is figured out. We've got power to it. If we could get it more power and get it to work correctly, we would definitely get it to start. It is now time to figure changing out wiring and wiring harnesses between the starter and main bulkhead connector. I used a jumper and jumped it directly off of the main battery cable and positive side, and that's how we figured that out, folks. All right, everybody. Well, this is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician. We have just finished up figuring out the Corvette. It is no longer in diagnostic stages. So we will, over the course of the next, I'm going to say probably next few weeks here, we'll figure out how we're going to get all these wires changed out and get this puppy back on the road. So give me a holler if you have any questions. I also definitely welcome any advice that you may have. I appreciate you watching my YouTube channel. This is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, signing off.